Wednesday, October 20th, and I'm here at Ricardo Almeida Academy's Amanda Levy, who just won double gold in the Purple Belt Adult Division at Nogi Pams a few weeks ago. Just need to first give a shout out for our two sponsors. First one is Reign Unlimited. Train, dominate, and rise. For high quality, comfortable, affordable, and sleek jiu-jitsu kimonos, rash guards, and lifestyle apparel, choose Reign Unlimited. Reign Unlimited is joining efforts with the National Breast Cancer Foundation's mission to support helping women now by providing help and inspiring hope to those affected by breast cancer through early detection, education, and support services. The brand new Battle V2 gi was reintroduced and recreated to contribute to the cause and help spread awareness. 25% of proceeds will be donated directly to the National Breast Cancer Foundation. Help us fight breast cancer and spread awareness. To order this great gi with a cause, visit reignunlimited.com, REIGN unlimited.com, not like rainfall. Our second sponsor is Details, also spelled differently than how you think of details. It's spelled Details. Details is a jiu-jitsu athletic apparel company that develops top-of-the-line gear exclusively designed for women who train by women who train. If you're a woman who rolls and you're looking for the perfect rash guard, definitely check them out at www.detailsclothing.com. Again, it's DETALES clothing.com. Again, DETALES clothing.com. Today, our guest again is Amanda Levy. Here's a quick rundown on her. You may have seen her on some YouTube videos from the past that Grappler's Quest has posted over the years. I saw her choking out dudes, I think, in Las Vegas. It became really viral phenomenon where she's had somewhere a couple 100,000 views of her defeating her male opponents and just really be growing in front of our eyes on YouTube and at various tournaments. She's only 18 years old, has won numerous NAGA, Grappler's Quest, and IBJJF titles. While she was still in high school, she lasted 20-plus minutes in a sub-only match with UFC top contender Kat Zingano. This past spring, she won the Grappler's Quest Super Tournament alongside Renzo Gracie, Ricardo Almeida teammates Eddie Cummings, Gary Tonin, and Gordon Ryan. A few months ago, we wrote a brief piece on her, calling her the next big thing in women's BJJ and MMA. And most recently, just a few weeks ago, she won double gold at Nogi Pans in the Purple Belt Adult Divisions. Thank you for joining us, Amanda.
Thank you.
How are you doing today? Just want to start off, Amanda, how old were you when you started training in jiu-jitsu?
I was 11 when I started training, and now I'm 18, so I've been in it for a good amount of years.
Yeah, and how did you get into it when you were 11 years old? Was it you? Was it your parents? Or
well, my dad and my uncle would always watch the UFC, and they originally got my brother into it, and then he kind of stuck with it for a little bit, but I just kept staying with it, and he just actually signed up again the past year, so now I have another training partner.
And do your does your dad and uncle also train as well?
No, I always try to get them to, but they never will. They'll do one class and they'll back off, and I'm just like, come on, you push me to do it. Why can't I push you guys to do it?
That's interesting that they're not interested in doing it or willing to do it, but somehow you've managed to find an interest in it and not only have an interest but achieve a high level. What do you attribute that to? Their interest but not interest in training and your ability to just really have a knack for it and passion for it?
Well, I think they enjoy watching it, I think, more than they enjoy the working part of it. So I don't know, they've always pushed me to do my best, even in any sport, any sport that I ever played growing up, they were always there. Both of them were always there. They always were willing to take me anywhere I needed to go, if it was travel, softball, or anything like that. And I'm just so appreciative that they were able to be so supportive about it.
Yeah, and before our podcast, and when you agreed to do it, I did some research on you, read some local articles. Your dad, he really did go to the extreme, because didn't you have a pretty crazy workout schedule in between school where you were training in the morning and evening?
Well, I mean, it wasn't too crazy. I would go to I would go to the gym in the morning with my dad, before school, around 5. We would work out for an hour, and then I would go home, shower, eat, and head off to school. And then after school, I would just go to the gym, just the jiu-jitsu practice and stuff like that.
And what was he big into the weightlifting though, and that conditioning part?
Yeah, he's always been like with like lifting and stuff. Like a lot of my strength just comes from like I'm pretty strong for like I guess girls. So like he's always like I started when I lifting when I was 11. I mean not too heavy, but like just enough. So like it made me strong. But he's always big in like strength and conditioning.
And when you first started training, did you have that major strength advantage even over boys at the age of 11 and 12?
Um, it would depend, I guess, on the boy. Like sometimes I would feel stronger than them, and sometimes they would feel stronger than me. So
Hmm.
like I guess it would just depend on the boy.
And you mentioned you're active in other sports. Were you a natural athlete at jiu-jitsu? Were you good at right when you started, or did it take a while to get used to it?
I think I actually sucked when I first started. I mean, I was always very like good at basketball and softball, and like those things kind of came like more natural to me. Like jiu-jitsu when I first started, like when I look at videos from like when I was like 11, 12, I'm like, I don't even know why I even stuck with it because I think I looked awful. Like I really it took time for me to like hone my skills in jiu-jitsu.
Well, you see a lot of kids, they want instant gratification of parents. They don't want to see their kids lose. What made you stick with it at that time, and what type of encouragement did you receive from your parents? Because sometimes parents, they don't want to see their kids lose, where nowadays you just see them, let's not keep score. What made you stick with it, and what type of encouragement did you receive from your parents to stick with it?
Well, I would always I never liked to lose either. So like I
Hmm.
was always very competitive like growing up. And like one thing my dad always enforced was that like, second place, we don't like second place. Like we don't accept second place. Like second place to me is nothing. Like, when I tell the story to everybody, but
Hmm.
because everyone thinks my dad's crazy, but I think it was just like a good lesson for like just me in general. It made me like it opened my eyes completely. So the one time we were at a softball game, and it was the championship, and my team lost, and we
Hmm.
got the second place trophies. And my dad goes, "Amanda, go throw that trophy right in the trash over there." I did it in front of the whole team, threw my trophy right in the trash, and I had no problem doing it either because ever since I was little, like I never liked to lose. So like I know I played a good game. It was just like that's why I was never very good at like team sports because I just didn't like the fact that you have to depend on other people. And like jiu-jitsu, you have to depend on your training partners, but when it comes to when it comes to tournaments, you have to depend on yourself. You have to know that you trained enough and that you're ready to like beat whoever you have to beat. So like that was just a great life lesson for me when my dad made me do that, and I just love telling everyone that story because it really did open my eyes.
Right now, do you keep any of your silver or bronze medals at all, or do you just throw those out too?
I accept the second place medals and third place medals if they were good matches. So like if they were a decent match and like like they were like really hard fought and stuff like that, and maybe I lost by like maybe a point or something like that, I'll accept it. I still have like second and third place medals, but I don't really like appreciate them as much as my gold medals. So
Hmm. And have you gone into every tournament and match? I'm digressing a little bit, but do you go into every tournament and match with the goal of taking first place? Because in the past, I've made the mistake of, oh, I just want a medal, and then you just wind up medaling and accept. Basically, what I'm saying is, when you set the goals low, you don't really your goal. You're not going to get to the top of the mountain. You always have the mentality of first place.
yeah, it's not even that. It's more like I go into the tournament and I want to like perform my absolute best. Like I want to perform better than I did my last tournament. So if that means getting the gold, I guess yes, in a way. Like I shoot for first place, but I just really like I try to focus on like maybe submitting more people than I submitted last tournament, or like not winning because lately I've been winning more matches by points. So like my goal is now is to start like stop like grinding through the time and submit people. But so I guess yeah, like I shoot for first place. I try to set my goal high and try to reach it.
Hmm. And you started training at a different academy, then you switched to Ricardo Almeida's academy. What made you decide to switch and train with the Ricardo Almeida team?
Well, I've been to like a few different schools, and like some of them were just too far, and then other ones like I don't know. Just when I came to Ricardo's, like the high level guys there, and like it's so well organized, and it just a great team atmosphere. Like we're willing to help each other. That it was just like a no-brainer to sign up there.
How long have you been training with Ricardo?
2 years.
And even when you signed up, did you sign up knowing that MMA would be in your future?
Yeah, and that's another reason why MMA. If you look at like Frankie Edgar and our like our MMA team is like incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another reason why.
Mm-hmm. And just to backtrack a little bit, you did play other high school sports. You didn't really start training full time in jiu-jitsu and MMA until recently. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah. Which other sports did you play in high school? And
I played softball. I played softball my freshman, sophomore, and junior year.
mhm,
And my junior year, I also started the field, like track and field, but I would do like shot put, discus, and javelin.
mhm,
And I was pretty good at shot put. I went to states for shot put. I mean, I didn't compete with any of the girls from states. Like I was like not that great at states, but it was just like that was another cool experience. But I enjoyed every sport that I played in high school, and it was awesome to like I don't know like use like especially for shot put when you like jujitsu like is so technique wise and every event, like field event, is very like technique wise. Like you have to be spot on with your technique. So like I don't know, jujitsu helped transfer over to like my field activities that I would do for Ryan, for my Archbishop Ryan.
mhm. And how do you balance the jiu-jitsu training with the softball and track and field training during the school year? How many days a week were you training back then? And how do you also balance the schoolwork and other obligations that most teenagers have?
Well, so like I would do like at lunch. I had like a late lunch, so I would always like do all my homework at lunch. Like I would eat lunch and then I would just go right to my homework, do my homework in school, come out and depending on like what I had that day, if I had softball practice, I could usually make like the later like jujitsu practice. And then if I had like track and field, I could usually make the later jujitsu practice too. And then it would just depends. Like if I had games, I would probably have to miss like training that day. But usually I was able to make it. And then especially like I would still do like my morning training and I don't know, I would just like go to the later classes.
Mhm. And I also read that you tried to get on your high school wrestling team. And you also saw some video, local news coverage that you received from that. How did that end? Did you just decide not to pursue it any longer? And would you train wrestling outside of the school?
Well, so they like they annoyed me because once I went to sign up for the wrestling, I was like, oh, this is great. Like I could use wrestling, especially for jujitsu. And so when I went to sign up, they're like, you can't sign up. I'm like, what do you mean I can't sign up? And they're like, only boys can sign up. I'm like, here we go. I'm like, oh, we're starting a war with this one. I'm like, oh, there's no way that this is like so sexist. Like, you can't do this. There's so many public school girls wrestling for their high schools. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is 2015. I feel like girls are in their place, especially on the mats. And I was on a few different like news stations.
Mhm.
And, the Archdiocese came out with why they weren't letting me wrestle. And that sounded completely sexist, basically telling girls like, like they're basically saying they teach gender differences, which is wrong to me. And so eventually like it kind of just dwindled away. And it was to the point where I was just like, whatever, like I have jujitsu, like wrestling. I'm not in there like, like at first I wanted to wrestle, but then as like the tension got like bigger and bigger, I'm just like, you know what? It's all right. I'm like, hopefully a girl comes and maybe hopefully they change it again because it's stupid that they have to be that way.
Yeah, it sounds crazy because women's wrestling is an Olympic sport. You've seen numerous UFC fighters. I think Carlos Esparza wrestled in college, Sarah McMahon, Kat Zingano, Misha Tate. They're all high school and college wrestlers. The precedent was set way long ago, back in the 80s and 90s, about that. So it does seem a little bit backwards. And I think Pennsylvania, several of the universities at least have the because women's wrestling is not an NCAA sport, but it's a club sport where you could compete, get scholarships, and I believe some of the colleges and universities in Pennsylvania already have women's wrestling programs there under
Yeah,
that banner.
that was like another thing. Like if I was going to college or if a girl wanted to wrestle and go to college, they're basically taking money away from that person who wants to go to college, like the woman who wants to go to college. So I think it was a load of bull crap, but what are you gonna do?
Did you show them any of your videos where you already were competing against boys and doing
Yeah,
fairly well?
yeah, and I mean they were that the one guy, the one representative from the archdiocese was very like amazed by it, but it came down to the archbishop, and he put an end to that real quick. So
Yeah, it's sometimes you know, it is what it is. But at the same time, yeah, I think down the road someone is going to break through that barrier and everything. And when you look at down the road, just like the civil rights movement, gay rights movement, it's going to look a little bit silly down the road that hey, that they denied you a chance to wrestle, and when it's already the precedent's been set in so many other places for a number of years. But
yeah,
no, that's pretty cool though that you did stand up and put up the fight.
thank you.
And just going back to your jujitsu training when you were between 11 and 17 years old, were you aware that a lot of your highlights were on YouTube?
I think I found out probably when I was like 16, maybe, and but like people were brutal with the comments. Like
What?
I just stopped reading them because I'm just like, you know what? They're not worth my time. They're probably sitting on their couch, like eating chips, like not doing anything with their life. I'm like, I'm just gonna ignore them. They're not worth my time. They're not even worth reading. And a lot of them are they're crazy comments, and I can't even like describe
I
them.
didn't
But
read those comments. Like I used to actually show your videos when girls want to try out jujitsu. I would always show them your video and say, "Hey, this is what you could be doing, and this is the great equalizer: technique, skill, great conditioning." And if anything, I thought your videos were impressive and empowering, and sent a positive message. But what I realized too, when I was because I write a blog for Jiu-Jitsu Times. There's people that on Reddit where sometimes comments. One guy told me I should go kill myself, and then at first you're like, oh shoot, but then after a while it's like you just kind of laugh it off. It's like, all right, whatever.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, most of these people, you can tell the comments that people who know jujitsu and the people that probably got beat by a girl sometime in their life and are just mad about it.
Well, it is crazy how many people are just out there and so full of hate. It's just
Yeah.
because I think that, maybe not for your unfortunate opponent, but there's a positive message in that. I think in what you're doing out there, and it's just kind of crazy that there are people out there that would be that full of that much hate. But what is one of the funny things that someone said that you just gotta shake your head? It's like, what's this person thinking that you can? Because I've been told you should go kill yourself. I've been told a monkey could do your job better than you. This is you're a piece of whatever.
Probably the one that I'm on steroids, and I was like, yeah, okay, like you're crazy. I'm like, if you look at girls on steroids, I hope I don't look like that. That's kind of an insult.
Yeah, well, I'm sure probably, that person's probably got their own issues. Just think about how much effort it takes to log into YouTube, leave the comment, and think of something to say. Where it's like, oh, you can look at like it, not like it, just move on with your life.
Yeah.
But yet this person's something not right with them in that
Exactly.
case. Like when you first started competing, was it always were you given the option of competing in a girls division or the boys division, or was it just one division where it was all mixed gender?
Well, when I first started, they didn't even have any. They barely had a girl. Like, I would be lucky if I had a girl fight. I mean, my dad would actually like tell them to put me in the boys division, and then my dad would put me in so I would do when I was 12, 13, my dad would put me in the boys division for the 12 to 13-year-olds in my weight class, and then he would put me in the girls division, and then he would put me in a weight class higher, and then he would put me in the teens division, and then he would put me in the women's division. I was I would be going all over the mat. That's why that's why a lot of people knew me, because I would just start at just say mat 1, and then I'd be at mat 12, mat 8, mat 9. I'd be fighting and they'd be calling my name in another ring. So I would just get up from that match and go right over to the other one. I didn't get a break.
Well, was your dad aware of how tiring these matches are?
Yeah, and that was the point, I think. When you do tournaments, I look at it as like experience. You know what I mean? Experience for like the bigger tournaments, like when I'm able to do Worlds and the Nogi Pan Ams and stuff like that. So like I feel like, you know, competing so crazy like that actually like benefited and, you know, like helped me, you know, mentally stronger. Because by the end of the day, I was mentally drained. So mentally strong, that's what my dad was going for, I think.
All right, I want to see if you could break a podcast record. Edwin Najmi, who actually trained at Ricardo Almeida's when he was in New Jersey, was a brown belt and purple belt world champion. When he won purple belt worlds, he had 13 matches in one day. What are the most matches you had in one day?
Oh, I think it was more than 13. I think it was like 15. It was at Grappler's Quest in Wayne, New Jersey. And I think I had 15 in one day. And it was one of their bigger tournaments. And I want to say 15.
What was your record for that day?
You know what? That was probably one of my best tournaments too. I think I won 12 of them.
Oh, damn. That's impressive. And how old were you when you did that?
I think I was either 15. I think I was 15.
15. So you entered the boys, women's, open weights.
Yeah, everything. You name it, I was probably in it.
Was it because we're seeing your highlights on YouTube?
Well, it was Nogi and Gi too. So like, you know what I mean? It wasn't just like Nogi, it was like Nogi and Gi.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. 15 in one day. And how many finishes did you have? Because you have to end some of those quick in order just to get fatty and stay hydrated.
Well, like the last division, my dad was like, "Do you want to do it?" And like at first I said no, but then I just like was thinking about it, and my like mind doesn't let me just like say no. So I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll just do it. Like, you know, there's no harm in doing it. And so I don't know. I got a good amount of finishes that day. I'm not sure exactly how many, but I know I got a few.
And we see all your highlights on YouTube, but were you instantly successful against boys and even against girls when you first started? Or was there a growing period where you did have your initial struggles in training?
My first match I've ever done in jiu-jitsu when I was 11, it was 4 months into training, like when I first started. And I went into my first match and got killed in 15 seconds. And I cried, wanted to quit, but my uncle and my dad, like, they calmed me down. They're like, just do another match. And then I won my next match. But I think it wasn't until like my second tournament where I started fighting the boys. And the boys I would go back and forth with. I usually always had a good match with them, but it would always usually come down to points. And around when I was probably around 14 and 15, that's when I was like getting very well like with handling the boys. And that's when the one in Vegas where like it has a lot of hits, that was one of my matches. And it was probably one of my best matches that I did against the boys. And when I started coming towards the end, it was getting a little harder for me, but I would still like last with them. Like they wouldn't like tap me like that. So like, I don't know. I think towards the end, it got a little harder for me than it was when I was like 14, 15.
Yeah. And you lost in 15 seconds. That's hard to believe that. And it's also good to hear, too, because so many people, they get frustrated when they first start. They don't realize that if you stick within, you keep training, you keep competing, that it will get better. How did you lose in 15 seconds? Were you just caught in an arm lock? Or?
No, I was caught in a choke, and it was like a normal choke. It was like the ninja roll choke. Like this girl just like hit it on me, and that was it. I was done. So.
That Las Vegas video that you talked about, I remember that kid's name, Wyatt Sellers. He won a bunch of tournaments as well, right?
I'm not entirely sure, but like it just makes me mad that like so many people like will comment on that video, and they're like, oh, you know, like he was a beginner. No, he was not a beginner. They did not put me against a beginner. It was the advanced division. I was 15, and they even put me in like the 16 to 17-year-olds division. So like, just want to clear that up. They did not put me against like an intermediate or beginner. Like he signed up for advanced, and it was a fair match. Like, because you know, everyone always looks for like a reason why that I won, and it wasn't not because of my like talent.
Well, these are guys that probably don't do jiu-jitsu. I train jiu-jitsu. I'm 200 pounds, 200 plus pounds, and I get tapped by 120-pound girls. If you're going up against a good, regardless of gender, you get caught in just a foot lock, you get caught in wrist locking. Guess what? You got to tap. You
Yeah.
know, you got to look at it as a game in a way where if you don't do it, you don't realize that hey, tapping's part of it, and no matter what, you're going to get caught by a more skilled person at times, regardless of size, gender. I get tapped by 120-pound dudes, 100-pound girls. It's just part of training too, and part of competing. That is crazy though. I didn't realize that people were like that disrespectful.
Yeah. Well, I'm just lucky that I've always had like ever since I was like 11, like I've always had like men that like when I was 11, like I would be in like the adult class with all men, and I would be the only girl and the only kid. So I'm just lucky that like I've always had guys that were willing to train with me and that were willing to help me grow after all like through all the people that I like met through jiu-jitsu. And it's just like very nice that like, all the guys had no problem rolling with me and helping me grow and, make me a better jiu-jitsu practitioner. So I'm very thankful for that.
Mm-hmm. And 2 years ago, you faced Kat Zingano in the finals of the UFC Expo Grapplers Quest event in Vegas. You lasted 20 minutes with her before she caught you, I think, in some type of foot lock. What type of was that a confidence booster for you to last 20 minutes against someone like Kat, who's been training as long as you were alive? Because when I was your age, I wrestled the New York State Wrestling Champion and got pinned in 7 seconds. So you lasted with the number one contender at that time in the UFC, who's again been probably training 14, 15 years in grappling, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and MMA. Was that a confidence booster even though you lost?
Absolutely. But at the same time, I was, like when I lost initially, I wasn't too happy. But like before the match, like she got a flying armbar in 10 seconds on the girl before me. And I'm like, great. Like, and then I like, I posted on Facebook that I was going to be fighting her. And I forget who said it to me, but they're like, Amanda, she puts her gi on the same way as you do. She trains the same way as you do. So that kind of like, like it like struck me. And I was like, okay, like I can do this. Like, if I last a minute with her, I last a minute with her. Like I'm not going to get upset about it. And, I ended up lasting like way more than I thought I was. So, I mean, at first when I initially lost, especially to like a foot lock, like that was one of my, like, that's what I'm working on a lot now with the foot locks, because like that's one of my like weaker points. So now I'm getting better with them. And at that point, I didn't even really like know anything from like below the waist. So like that kind of made me like a little angry because I got out of the first two, and then the last one she got was very tight. So I know I just tapped. It's not worth my foot. So then like afterwards, like after the losing, like after I let that sink in, I like I felt more accomplished, and I felt very proud of myself for even lasting that long, because she was the strongest woman I've ever fought before. Like she was just, once she locked up with me, I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. Like it's very, she's a great at jiu-jitsu. I was very impressed.
Yeah, and late ex-husband, Mauricio Zingano, was her coach. He was a black belt for a number of years, so she trained her butt off, but she also got to get advice from one of the top black belts out there, and her husband Mauricio, which definitely helps. And I don't know if anybody told you this though. Comparing the strength of even male, female, regardless, the strength of a 17-year-old versus the strength of a 30-year-old, and just the number of years of extra strength and conditioning, and just you're not done growing. She's more developed as far as her strength and conditioning goes. As long as you keep working hard, you could definitely get there as well.
Yeah.
Just from a physical maturity standpoint, her at 30 versus you at 17, that's a huge gap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Well, did she say anything to you afterwards that that encouraged you as well? Or
no, it was kind of just like I got a handshake and a hug, and we just like parted. That was nothing really was said. She had to go to the UFC Expo that was going on. She had to run a table, so I don't think she was like I think she was in a rush to get there.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, because she probably didn't think the match would take 20 minutes. And just want to transition real quick to your current training. You're training full time right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or what's your workout schedule like right now?
So Mondays in the morning and at night I do jujitsu. Tuesday, like the mornings, like sparring, and Tuesday nights, like boxing and jiu-jitsu, and uh, Wednesday jiu-jitsu, Thursday jiu-jitsu and like boxing, Friday jiu-jitsu, and then Saturday jiu-jitsu, and then Sunday's like kind of my rest day.
So, so it's a pretty regimented program right now.
Yeah.
Is there any strength and conditioning in
Oh
between?
yeah, strength and conditioning I do on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Is it just with the team, or is it on your own with your own coaches or your father?
It's with like two other of my teammates.
Hmm. How are you able to maintain your health and making sure that you're well rested for these number of workouts right now?
I do like the foam roller a lot,
Hmm.
and just like get enough sleep, try to eat as clean as I can, and try to just get enough rest. Is basically it.
Are you taking your diet and nutrition advice right now from Gary Tonin or from like the hamburger diet, where are you just listening more to Ricardo and his whole foods diet?
Yeah, I'm just trying to eat cleaner. I'm not
Uh-huh.
on the Gary Tonin diet. I don't think I could do that. I'm not much of a. I don't know. Just too much grease doesn't work for me. It like upsets my stomach.
Hmm. And are you also working right now, or going to college, or is the focus just on training?
Right now, the focus is just on training.
Mhm. And what last year did you realize you would be doing this at this time, or did you go through the whole college application SAT process? And
I always like. I think when I never really. I knew I hadn't. I already knew I wasn't going to college. I mean, like, I don't know. I have a chance in this, and I always wanted to take this route. Eventually, like, I'm gonna start helping instruct at Ricardo's, and like eventually in many years down the road when I get my black belt, and my brother is also training with me, and we want to open our own school together eventually, but that's many years down the road.
nice, nice. And what was your parents' reaction when you said you didn't want to go to college and you want to just train full time and see where you go with MMA and jiu-jitsu?
um
How do you
my,
sell it to them?
my dad already knew that, and I think my mom kind of knew it too, so they're both very supportive. Like, they knew like I wasn't going to go to school.
Hmm. Did they give you a deadline where you have 1 or 2 years to make it happen, and then otherwise you should go back to school, where you need to have a plan B, or was it just, hey, let's go all in?
No, it was just, let's just do it. It wasn't any like deadline or anything.
Mhm. Was there anything where it's like, hey, you just can't be hanging around on a couch, you have to be actually training every day and doing this, or
Yeah, which like I didn't even have to tell me that. Like, I knew what I was like. I was going to be training in the morning, you know, afternoon and evening. Like, I knew I was like that was set already.
mhm. And so far it's turned out pretty well. You won again double gold at Nogi Pans. How much has your game improved since you were able to switch to training multiple times a day, every day, and basically just going full time? Have you noticed that it's really benefited your game?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think the more time I put in, well, the more time I put in, it benefits. Like, just like watching jiu-jitsu, like just watching the regular guys just roll. Like, I could pick up on more, and I feel like I'm getting more submissions than I am like letting the time run out. And I feel my game has just gone all around better. Like, I feel like when I was just training, like, after school, that like I was more of a top game kind of person, which I still am, but I feel like my bottom game has gotten better, like from guard and stuff, from training, like during the day and stuff.
And is most of your training in a gi or no gi right now, especially with no gi worlds coming up?
More noogie, I would say. I mean, I still do gi, but I think for my like mostly noogie for the worlds.
Mhm. And did you have it change up your training at all for no-gi pants and no-gi worlds, or is it just business as usual? Like, do you have a set training camp, or is it just
No, I just go and train.
And do you have specific training partners that you work with, and you right now prefer training with guys or girls to prepare for the bigger tournaments? And do you see advantage or disadvantage to training with one or the other?
Um, I never really try. I mean, occasionally I'll train with like a girl, but like mostly I train with guys, and especially like jujitsu. Like now that my brother's in it, I train with my brother. Get to drill with my brother. Like if I'm preparing for a tournament, like I'll use him to drill. Like he's like the same size as me, so it's actually very beneficial for me. But like especially jujitsu guys, like I train with guys. Like there's not many girls, so I mean, do I see like a difference in training with guys and girls? I would say yes, because there's not many. There's first off, there's not many girls to even train with, and it's hard to find like a girl very dedicated to it and that wants to like like train all the time. So I always trained with guys. So like I don't know. I feel like the guys have a little more like skill level, and there's more guys out there for me to broaden my horizons with my game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because one of the girls in your bracket in the open weight, Tara White. I don't know. Are you familiar with her?
No.
You wound up losing to a person that I believe you faced in the open weight semifinals. So if that girl was able to beat Tara White, who down here in SoCal, she has a reputation for just beating the crap out of dudes,
Hmm.
and then the girl that you beat, the girl that beat her, is like, wow, I was pretty impressed by that considering you're still a fairly new purple belt. And I know she's mainly training with dudes, so I think it's something at that level you need to probably train with a certain type of person to match that level of aggression and also that type of pressure too. And are there a lot of females for you to train with at the Ricardo Almeida Academy right now, or
No. There's
feel
just
like
one.
replicate it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just one that I spar with. Caitlin. Like I don't know if you ever I can't never pronounce her last name. Caitlin. She has the Instagram, the blonde fighter, and
Uh-huh.
her stand up is amazing. Like very like she's very quick. She does MMA a lot. She wins like all the time, and she's extremely impressive. So like when I get to stand up, like you stand up with her, she like helps me a lot.
Mm-hmm. And going back to your matches at Pans, they're all pretty close. Did you anticipate them being that close?
Um, I'm like kind of like used to that because like all my matches usually are like I just kind of like grind them out, and I always get like my points, and then like I can never usually like I usually just have like trouble submitting, so that's why I really like, want to focus on submissions more. Like it's what I've been doing lately,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really like go into like any like match and like expect something like I didn't expect them to be that long, but I didn't expect them to be quick either. Like I kind of just go in there and I'm just like ready to fight, ready for whatever kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And knowing the IBJJF game, you're fighting against the clock, also your opponent, and the matches are close. Is it just to secure? Is your mentality still attack, or just maintain position when you're up, or what type of mentality do you have once you get up on points, where just during the matches?
Well, if I'm up on points and
Mm-hmm.
there's like, a minute left, I'm depending on how many points I'm up. Like if I'm up by like, 2 points, I'm probably gonna like just try to grind it out and do my best to like like outlast it. But if I'm up like a lot of points, like I'll go for submissions. Like I don't have a problem losing,
Mm-hmm.
losing position at all. So like, it's just basically staying calm is like my thing. Like I'm a very calm like fighter, I would say. Like I don't like, get too excited and get like anxiety or anything. So I think that's a good part of me.
Nice, nice. And you're coming out to Long Beach in 2 weeks. Is this your first trip to SoCal?
Yeah, I don't the furthest I've ever been was like Las Vegas, so this will be a new experience for me.
Yeah, and all right, who from your team is coming out? Is your head coach Ricardo Almeida, or some of the other coaches coming out with you guys?
Yes, Professor Ricardo Almeida is coming with us, and then we have me and then three other guys are competing.
Oh, nice. And usually, if you guys want to, you're more than welcome to train at our Henzo Gracie School of Five-Star Martial Arts if you like. I know Professor Ricardo, he also likes to go down to the Gracie Baja School in Irvine, I think, and a few other schools. But just know you guys are welcome to train at Five-Star Martial Arts, which
Yeah,
is the
thank you.
Henzo Gracie School here. But are your folks coming out with you guys as well?
Just my dad is coming out with me.
Like, how will this prep? Since you guys did Grappler's Quest in Vegas, is the preparation or routine going to be any different? Just with any making sure diet, training routine, and just the preparation while you're on the road. Is there anything you need to account for?
No, I mean, I usually just try to eat cleaner and, I just, instead of like training as much stand up, like, I'll do more jujitsu, focus on more jujitsu and, I'll, especially more drilling. Like I always use my brother to drill on,
Mhm.
like I'll do like time drills, like go for 30 seconds for this move, 30 seconds with that move. So, that's just basically just the game plan.
And how many days out are you coming? Because I read this article by Tim Ferriss a little while ago, and I actually passed along to this black belt I know from Europe that it takes a few days to acclimate to the time zone change and climate. Are you guys coming out a day before, 2 days before?
I think we're coming out a day before.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not too like worried about like adjusting. Like, hopefully I'll adjust. Like, it's no big deal if I don't. So I'm not. I mean, like, I'm shooting for like first place, obviously, but I'm not gonna like worry too much about just like adjusting to like the different like area.
Yeah, and competing at the Pyramid in Long Beach. If you never competed there before, it's an awesome venue, cool ceiling, and also best part is there's an In-N-Out burger right down the street from there. So right after you're done wrapping it all up, winning gold, you go celebrate In-N-Out burger.
Yeah, that's a good place.
Yeah, and best of luck with the training for Worlds. And just want to last few questions ask you about when do you think you're going to make your MMA debut? Has there been a plan set for with you and your coaches and your family?
No, there's no like plan set yet. I'm just gonna be training, and then I'm gonna have to talk to Ricardo, and hopefully in like 2016 I'll have my first MMA fight.
Is there has he expressed to you any criteria where you need to be with your striking, ground game, wrestling in order to for him to feel ready to sign off on you taking your first fight?
No, I think like I just listen to him, and like when he tells me something, I just listen, and he shows me and helps me like a ton, especially when we're sparring in the morning training. So I mean, he hasn't mentioned anything specifically yet, so I'm just waiting for him.
Right. And currently, are you training with the pro team at the academy?
Um, there's like they're all a big help. So yeah, I train with them in the morning. Like, I mean, they do like their thing. I'm just training, like doing my own thing with like my brother or something like that. But it's very interesting to watch them. They're such hard workers, and they're definitely something to look up to and aspire to be like just like them one day because their work effort is amazing.
And have you hired a manager at this time or an agent to help you transition from jujitsu to MMA and get help you get more sponsors?
No, I mean I have one sponsor right now. It's Phalanx. They're like clothing and gear and stuff, and they're awesome, and they're very supportive, and their gear is awesome. So everyone should check them out.
Nice. Do you think you'll have a hard time finding a fight? Because if there's promoters pitch your name to prospective opponent, they're going to look you up on YouTube and see what you've done in jiu-jitsu. And I've spoken to a few previous guests, Benil Dariush, Orlando Sanchez, who were both really high-level world champions in jiu-jitsu, and they both expressed having a hard time when they got started finding opponents in MMA. Do you see that being an issue, especially with the talent pool being a little bit smaller in the women's divisions?
I mean, probably, but I know there's probably some girls out there I would hope that wouldn't just like back down from a fight. I mean, I know like I would face anyone, so like I can't see like their point of view, but I don't know. I just hope that there's some girls out there for me to just get some like work in for MMA and see how I
And
like it.
mhm, which weight class do you see yourself fighting at? And have you talked to your coaches and family about that? And
Well, I mean, amateur, I would probably shoot for 145, and then professional. There's no 145 in like the UFC or anything, or any organization. I don't think so. I would have to like drop down to 135 probably.
Yeah, but and also you never know. A year or two ago, there's no 115 weight class, and it's probably going to grow. But that's great to hear. And again, Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today on our podcast. And we wish you nothing but the best of luck in 2 weeks in Long Beach for the No-Gi Worlds, and also continued success in both MMA and Jiu-Jitsu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, take care and best wishes, Amanda.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.